Episode 5. Episode 5, ladies and gentlemen. 5 episodes for Vik Lanning. You're going to love Vik. I had a great time with Vik. I'll let him talk to you from here on out. All right, so we're back with a special edition. So I was just mentioning that the reaction times on Vanover and Heads Up are just so insane, and it's hard to watch because it's so fast that it's hard to comprehend. And you had a comment that you were thinking about.
Yeah. So there was this. Okay, so this was probably several months back, early last year for sure, or yeah. I mean late last year for sure. So I saw a comment. I'm not going to say whose video, but I saw a comment that said, "I don't know what you're doing. You're moving way too fast." And you know, sometimes I get those comments myself,
right?
But, you know, taking a step back, someone that was I think he was in TV production, something on those lines. He had a background in show production and visual creation. And he commented on it and said, "That's great if you want to fly that way, but the viewer is getting so overwhelmed with what you're doing, it ruins or lessens the impact of the video. So slow down and try not to overwhelm the viewer." Some people are going to get overwhelmed, but you have to target the major audience, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I will say is anyone who's trying to fly, and I can't really speak on racing because I don't race, and but the same principles apply even in racing. If we want to make it more engaging from a viewer perspective, we need to slow things down. Now, does that mean flying slower crafts in a bigger stage for racing? That could be something interesting, because that's what the main negative point is about racing, is that it's going so quick that it's hard to comprehend what's going on from a viewing perspective, especially if you're not well versed in FPV.
Right.
And in the freestyle aspect, when you're going so fast, the person can't comprehend the feeling of the video or the creation, what you're trying to create necessarily. Now, some people can, they're well versed, but again, this goes back to, we want to bring people into the hobby. So how can we introduce them into the hobby in not a good enough way, and slowing it down and really understanding, okay, well, the viewer, regardless of freestyle racing, can't take all this in at once. You have to compose it, right? It's art piece.
You know, you say that, and I will bring you the example that proves your point. I can't say how I know, but I do know that when DRL switched from the Racer 3 to the Racer 4, they slowed them down.
Okay.
They slowed them down. Yeah. Because they got that complaint all the time, because the Racer 3 could get to like 70 miles an hour, right? Which is not, that's fast, right? But 24 frames a second, 70 miles an hour is just like insane. You can't comprehend what's happening. Even if, I mean, you know, if you're an experienced pilot, then maybe you can, right? But like, you know, they're filming on GoPro Session 5s. I think they're filming at 30 frames a second, and then downscaling it to 24 for TV. And one of the big complaints I kept getting was, "Hey, it's too fast. Like, we really like what you're doing, but it's too fast." And someone familiar with the matter told me, yeah, as a matter of fact, they slowed the Racer 4 down by like 10 miles an hour just so that it would be more translatable to TV. So
that makes a lot of sense. It's again, you're composing. Doesn't matter if it's racing or freestyle. We got to get more people into FPV, and going balls out is not helping.
Well, and I will say this too. I don't know. Did you watch the Nationals for MultiGP? Or have you seen any of the clips from it?
I've seen clips. Yes.
So they would pop up. They would pop up the, you know, the 4 racers, right? Because they had 4-man heats, and as I was watching them, my eyes would always be drawn to whoever was flying the smoothest.
Yeah.
And there's a I don't know if it's a renaissance in flying, but there's this big push now that you got to be smooth on the sticks, and that's actually faster, which I mean makes sense to a degree. But like when Vanover or Evan were flying Heads Up FPV, who won it, it was compared to, especially in the early qualifying stuff, when they were flying, it was like, oh, I can follow that. Like there's actually, I can understand what's happening here. And then you'd look over at somebody else that was flying. You're like, I don't really know what's happening. But even, I've watched some of Vanover's, when Vanover flies freestyle, he slows it down a lot. He gets all flowy and tries to do different things. But even watching some of his practice runs that he'll post periodically, where you can tell he's getting used to the track, he's learning on the track, and it's a little bit jerky. It does become hard to watch. Yeah. So, now how do you feel about, like, I don't feel like you fly too fast. I mean, you fly fast, but I feel like there's always, I guess, pacing. Like, how do you feel about pacing in terms of tricks? Like,
yeah, so I guess the way that I view it is flying with a purpose. I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's like you could fly without a purpose all day long, but you have to figure out how you want to compose something, and doing 15 flips in a row and then getting to the spot you want to get to is not it's not tangible to the person viewing it. So that's the way. That's what I keep in mind, is that I could do all these things. Trust me, I could go like crazy with tricks, but you're going to get to a point where there's too much. It's just way too much from a viewing perspective. So the way I view it is that I'll put in some really like a cool trick, 20 seconds to my flight to capture someone's like view. And then, another 20 seconds after that, another 20 seconds after that. I'm thinking about all these things as I'm flying.
Oh, really?
So yeah. Okay. Because like my latest video, it was me basically doing a in-person walkthrough of what I'm thinking about flying. And it was with the 360 camera and all that stuff. But
actually, essentially, I saw that, and that wigged me out. Because when I first saw it, it made you look like you were all hunched over. And I was like, oh my gosh, does this guy like have a physical thing going on? He's such an amazing pilot. And then actually after about like a minute or so, like you changed the perspective a little bit, and I could see your body curving like this. I was like, oh, it's a 360 cam. That's what it is. Yeah. So go on. You were doing the walkthrough. I did watch that video.
Yeah. So that's kind of where, when you compose something, you're thinking ahead, right? And thinking what's tangible to the eye of a normal viewer. So that's the things I'm thinking. Like my older videos, they had a lot more tricks consecutively. Like there wasn't any gaps of me just going straight. Nowadays, I intentionally go straight just to capture the moment until I want to do something really cool and get a cool shot. So there's it's intentional that I'm not doing 15 tricks before I get to the main trick, or the main shot, I should say. It's more paced out in that aspect.
So I had a conversation one time with Drew Camden, and we were talking about flow. And he and I were talking back and forth, and I said, I don't think I've ever experienced flow in FPV. I've experienced it, on stage, playing guitar, singing, etc. But in FPV, I can't ever say that I've like hit that state of, I'm not thinking about anything and it all just magically fits together. What about you? Do you hit that flow state, or is it a lot more, thought out while you're flying? See,
I used to be able to hit that flow state pretty easily. It takes a lot for me to get there nowadays. Okay. Because most of the content I'm creating right now or recently is, whoa, what the hell was that?
You all right? You're not gonna die, are you?
Something flu. So most of the content I'm creating right now is more helpful content. So there's a lot more thinking that has to go through it.
Yeah.
But I think it's easier to get into flow if you have good music. That's one aspect of it. Music definitely helps for someone to get into a flow state. And then the other piece to it is you're well versed in the tricks you want to perform. It's hard getting to the state of flow when you're learning.
Yeah.
Right. Once you've kind of mastered a few of the basic stuff, like for instance, you could do pitch, roll, yaw movement, and you master those 3 movements, and you just stick with those core movements, and you don't deviate from them, you could get into a state of flow. I think a lot of people make the assumption of, well, if I'm in a state of flow, I could try something new. Like that's not how that works. It's like you have to know what to do, know what you can do, and then do that because you're well versed in it. That's how you get in the state of flow. You're not trying new things as you get into the state of flow. That's where it like breaks. Like, so because you're trying something different.
I mean, that, I guess then the question becomes like, how often do you practice?
I used to fly every day.
Okay.
Regardless if it was winter or not, at least 5 packs a day after work. Nowadays, I fly maybe twice a week, and it's usually 6 packs, so about 12 packs a week. But that's because I have other things going on. It's not necessarily I'm like bored with FPV, but I do find it interesting that a lot of people experience the same thing, is that they have this like hype up when they first start and they just go out every day or twice a day and just fly and they enjoy it, and then they kind of get like bored of it pretty after 6 months or so. So it's all about pacing yourself, and we all have different ways or different ways we learn and how much time we have to spend learning certain things. So that's what I would say in terms of practicing. Just figure out what works for you. And again, no one's making any money off of this. So keep that in mind too, is that all the people that are making money off of this, they have already been established. So it's going to be very hard for someone new to make money off of FPV. Like it's very challenging. Like I
can think of maybe 5 pilots off the top of my head out of everybody that I know that is, besides like a DRL racer, that's making money flying, I guess what you would consider freestyle. But so here's my final question for you. And this is actually what I wanted to ask you on the way out previously. Do you record every flight, and are there any flights that you just fly for you as opposed to for the camera?
Currently I record whatever I want to. If I feel like recording, I'll press the record button. If I don't, I won't. I usually maybe record 2 to 3 videos if I go out and fly, but outside of that, I'll fly the rest of my packs with no record on. Again, this is me. Okay, so there's various aspects to this. One, I don't like being cocky or anything, but I'm good enough where I could fly 1 pack and record something, and then that's good enough for me to compose something out of it. And then I don't care anymore. I don't want to waste space. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that, again, you guys, everyone's not a lot of people are making money off of this. So just go out. If you feel like recording, press the record button. If you don't, then don't, but do it for the right reasons. And I think a lot of people get lost in doing it for the wrong reasons. If it's getting famous or getting money out of YouTube, those are 2 primary ones that I see. Sometimes, I'm not even saying a lot of people do that, but sometimes there are people out there like, okay, well, this is a way for me to get something. And one avenue that a lot of people, or just newer people, they see sponsorship as a way to fly for free, essentially. And it's not that. Like, trust me, it might be even more difficult to do that than buy something that's broken. Like, because if you really think about the amount of effort you're spending testing something for a particular company, and you calculate that based on your salary, think about how much money you're spending doing that rather than working or picking up a second job. So again, it's how you want to chop it up, but understand that do it for the right reasons. That's why I'll say that.
I burn out. The first time I ever burned out on FPV, I got into this mentality that I had to film everything. I had to record everything. It had to be ready for YouTube. I had to put together vlogs, and I got so bent around the axle about making content that I forgot that I was out there just to have fun.
Yeah. And it happens to me too. It happened to me too, honestly. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
You just get stuck in that hole. But again, like, it's going to take a lot of subscribers and a lot of like impressions, as you said.
Right.
And it's going to be, it's way more than just getting 100,000 subscribers and calling it a day. Like,
right. Yeah.
It's way more than that. And even if you do have that, to me, that's passive income. That shouldn't be your core income.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I can, I'll share numbers with the viewers here. Out of 900,000 impressions that I will get on an average month, I might make $100, which is not, I mean, that's not bad. Like I'm happy for that money, but, that's putting out one interview every week, which there's the time to film, which, as you can see right now, we've been going for about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours now. And there's time to film. There's time to edit, which is typically another 2 or 3 hours. And then there is filming the intros and outros, which is normally pretty quick because now I've got a system down, and then I got to drop them into the video. Then I've got to export everything, and then I've got to upload and create a thumbnail in there, which I hate. So, I mean, probably one video takes 10 hours to put out, and now, one interview takes 10 hours to put out, and I will typically break one interview up into 3 or 4 segments. But yeah, I'm not getting rich off this.
It's just passive income. It's for fun. And if you get $100 for it, that's great. Like, that's something you use for parts.
I will say this. It's like that $100 feels like, I treasure it because I made it with like my creation. It is my work. It is, and I love that. Like it feels weird. I was actually talking to my wife about it today. I was like, I'm a software engineer and I make a really nice salary, and the money I get from YouTube is more meaningful to me than what I get from my job, just because I control every aspect of it from front to back. And so.
No, I'm with you. That's exactly what it's about.
Yeah. When I do fly now, which I don't get to fly very often at all, like once or twice a month at the most.
Oh my God.
Oh dude, it's awful. It really, and I mean, like the reasons for that are multiple. Sometimes it's hard to find time to, really it comes down to time. I mean, I work for a startup and I've got 3 kids and they've got to go 1,000 different places. And, especially during the winter months, it's like by the time I step out the door from work, it's already dark and there's nothing I can do. But yeah, I definitely, sitting here talking to you is interesting. I was like, I really need to remember the passion in this thing. Because that's what this is about. It's about the passion.
Yeah.
So, and there's something about flying, and I don't know how to describe it, and everybody that has flown FPV knows what it means. It's just, it's great. So
it's a great feeling.
Right. It is. It is. All right. Well, this has been the bonus content from Vik FPV. Thank you, sir. I'll talk to y'all later. I am not the best freestyler. I pull off a trick here and there. I'm not a flippy floppy kind of guy. I don't do that. Vik is a flippy floppy kind of guy. He can throw together these combinations that will just leave you spinning. But it's very interesting to find out that slowing it down makes it more relatable. And I'm glad that Vik brought that up. This is it. This is the last episode. I hate to say it. But I would like to thank Vik for coming on. We had an absolute blast. We got bonus content out of it. And quite frankly, I hope that you all enjoyed coming along for the ride. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons. If you yourself would like a podcast version of this interview and all other interviews to come, check out the link in the description below. That's all you got to do. It's actually not that expensive. It's like less than a cup of coffee a month. It's not that big of a deal. I would appreciate it if you would. I love my patrons. You get a chance to talk to me, etc., etc. Quite frankly, I don't think you guys really want to talk to me. It's just a jarring experience, I've heard, but that's okay. And to make sure that I'm a good YouTuber, because if you're not a YouTuber, if you don't ask people to like, subscribe, and comment, are you even a YouTuber? And apparently I am not a YouTuber because I don't ask that. So like, subscribe, and comment, and hit me over my goal to get to 1 million subscribers by the end of this month. It's super important, folks. It's super important. How am I going to go full time doing nothing but YouTube comment and pay for my family? It's just, I need at least 1 million or 10 million. That's just, honestly, I don't even care about being an influencer. Just hit the freaking like, subscribe, bell, notification, all that crap. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.